We are happy to have the chance to share our insights and provide you with some valuable information, which will hopefully trigger a response and lead you to asking yourself questions that you may not have considered before. And we look forward to your thoughts. And the main goal of our meeting tonight is to ignite or reignite your passion for digital solutions in your dental laboratory. And you've actually already taken the first step by dedicating your time this evening. And I really thank you for that. And I truly believe this evening will offer you some real insight and value. So let's very briefly look at our agenda for this evening. So firstly, after short introductions of our guest speaker and myself, I'll walk you through the main topics. So secondly, we have It's Time to Go Digital. So here we'll be identifying current trends in the dental industry. And following this, our guest speaker will share his insights and take into look into his laboratory to see how he's really embraced this digital transformation. Then we'll give you an unbiased view on how to pick the right digital solution for your laboratory and what criteria to consider before investing into any technology. And then finally, for the last 5 minutes, we'll talk about your digital journey with Dentsply Sirona and our commitment to delivering next generation technology and innovation to advance patient care. So firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Jamie Thomas. I was a dental technician for 7 years and I've been with the laboratory team at Dentsply Sirona for 4 years. I've got a really strong passion for dental technology and I find the current role I'm in to be a really nice blend. And I'm continually involved in dental technology and it gives me the chance to share with you exciting new innovations. And I'll be doing that later on this evening. And now I have the pleasure to introduce our guest speaker tonight, Ashley Byrne. Ash, do you just want to say a quick hello?
Hello.
There we go. Thanks for that, Ash. So I'm sure most of you will know Ashley. However, for those of you who don't, Ashley is the owner of Byrne's Dental Laboratory and is an international speaker lecturing on digital dentistry. And what I really admire about Ashley is his positive attitude towards digital dentistry, which is easy to be seen and quite clear if you just visit the laboratory. And what I also respect is Ashley's strong focus on developing his team and giving them the best opportunities to learn and grow into top technicians. And now what I'd like to do is just to play a short video, a thought-provoking video, which will hope will set the trend for tonight's event. So I hope you found that video interesting, because I certainly did. And it's amazing just to see how far we've come with technology. Now let's have a quick look back to our agenda. So it's time to go digital. So here we'll be looking to identify what are the current trends in the dental industry. And this is a really interesting section, and it's a perfect example of why, if you're not already, you should seriously be considering embracing digital dentistry. So let's have a look at what's happening in our industry currently. And observing industry trends is important for the strategy of any business owner. We need to recognize where the current trends are and evaluate where our business is heading. And ask yourself, am I on the right path? This leads us to a report which was conducted by the BDIA, who release a spotlight every other year. And this report focuses on UK trends in the dental industry. And this report consisted of 404 people in the UK, mainly dentists, and they were asked in 2019, what do you intend to buy in the next year? And 22% answered they're intending to purchase an intraoral scanner as their next purchase, followed by an intraoral camera, which is a feature which most intraoral scanners can actually do. So it's fair to say intraoral scanning is at the forefront of clinical minds. Now let's expand our search. We conducted an international study looking at our largest global markets, such as the USA, Germany, and Japan. Nearly 900 dentists were asked about 5 developments in digital dentistry, which they deem was most important. And again, as you can see by looking at the results, intraoral scanners came out on top with 62%. So again, intraoral scanning is leading the way and starting to gather real momentum. They were then asked when they intend to purchase an intraoral scanner for their practice, and 60% so the next 5 years, 46% for the next 2 to 3 years, and 18% for the next 12 months. So judging by this small example, we're starting to see a trend. a digital trend. And what does this mean for the dental laboratory market? And what should we expect? And certainly judging by the reports, there's an increase in digital impressions. And with this increase, clinicians will naturally seek to communicate effectively with the laboratory partners. And even if we take a wider step back, there is certainly an increased demand for dental services. There's a desire for the perfect smile, there's a change in eating habits, and people are generally living longer. And an interesting report conducted by the Transparent Market Research and Health and Medicine section predicts that by 2025, the global dental implants market is expected to reach $6.5 billion. So what I'm alluding to is, with all this renewed demand, is your dental laboratory positioned to take advantage? And whilst we discuss trends, it's hard to, not look at this. It's because we have quite an alarming situation on the horizon. So the General Dental Council figures forecast that will be 50% less qualified dental technicians in 5 years from now. So what is the future of the dental laboratory market? With the increased digitization of dentistry and the increased demand, how can laboratories secure their future with technology? Something has to change and we have to adapt to survive. But however, there is good news. Digital laboratories can ensure they are future-proof by leaning on new technology and innovations. And working digitally can open up opportunities to collaborate with teams of business partners that you could have never thought was possible. And so how can you make the adaptation of digital dentistry work for you and your laboratory business? And this leads me nicely to tonight's guest speaker. Then let's look at a great example of a digitally empowered dental laboratory. And for this section, I'll be handing over to our guest speaker, Ashley. Ashley, if you'd like to take it away, please.
Cool. Everyone see that all right? It's all good?
Yeah, it's looking clear, yeah.
So what I've been asked to talk tonight by Dentist by Sirona really is that what this means to my business, my clients and my team about sort of changing the world of digital dental laboratories. Okay, it is working, that's all right. So that's my dental laboratory. We're based in an old cattle barn. I've got 32 amazing people working for me from 8 in the morning till 5 at night. Some do 8:30 to 5:30. But if you could actually see out now, I can see my lab out this window now and it's completely shut. Everyone's gone home. That might seem a slightly odd slide to put in, but I'm going to try and explain a bit more about it as we go through. And our lab, we do everything from single crowns, basic dentures through to complex implant work. And we're a fairly sort of heavy biased sort of digital workflow. Now, this is my lab. Anyone's welcome to come and see this at any point they want to. Unfortunately, with COVID, that's a little bit more tricky, but we've tried to generate this clean, modern, sort of ergonomic, high-tech manufacturing facility. And one of the things that I really want to sort of to stress really is that by removing things like casting machines and removing some of the sort of the old technology, and we're about 60 to 70% intraoral scanning now, the lab is naturally getting cleaner, tidier, and it's becoming a much more high-tech facility across the board. And I think in the current world now, the whole of the industry is kind of redefining itself. I've seen some epic new labs popping up on Facebook, and it's great to see that sort of regeneration. If you go back 20 years ago, a clean lab was almost unheard of. There was a few doctors around, but not many. But now it's kind of the normal that these labs are immaculately clean, the classrooms are immaculately clean, and I think that really is the future of our industry. So what I've tried to do in this presentation is break it down into 3 sections. So Dentist by Sirona asked me to do this. I was going to divide it into 3, but actually I think it's better to be kind of all a bit of a blended. So what does it mean digitally for my business? And I'm going to be looking at that from both financial and personal. I think especially post-COVID, we're looking much more in personal lives and what that means to us and the importance of that. And I think that's quite key across the board. How do my clients benefit? There's no point in me having this wonderful business if my clients are not happy. And clients I would put under both the perspective of both the dentist and the patient. And of course, right, the team benefit of the lab. Jamie showed that slide of plummeting numbers of dental technicians, and we're coming to a cliff edge. We're actually going to disappear off the edge of this. So I think we have to be very open-minded here about how we encourage the young to get involved in dental technology, and actually how do we make people more efficient in what they're doing. But yeah, Jamie showed the slide, that the sort of the quite inspirational and also frightening slide of robots taking over everything. And what I want to stress is that machines aren't the solution. Okay, they're a tool. Because it doesn't matter how good your preparation is and how good your intraoral scanner is, if you let that soft tissue, like you can see there on the lingual of that or the palatal, sorry, of that tooth there, fall over the margin, the technology becomes pointless. So the fundamental principles of dentistry remain the same, whether we stay digital or whether we stay analog. Because CAD/CAM can be great, but it can be absolutely terrible. I've used this slide many, many times, so I think it's a great example that is exactly the same STL file. Now people say, well, STL file is an STL file. Yeah, it is, but when you put it through a milling machine, it will go through a software process to spit out a machined couping, and software can manipulate things. So you've got to be careful understanding that there is great software out there, and there is bad software, and there is great CAD/CAM, and there is terrible CAD/CAM, and it's understanding those sort of processes across the board. Now, this is a cool little video, and I hope the sound all works okay for you guys. But machines don't make mistakes. Okay, that's a fact. They don't, providing they're programming correctly, but humans do. And this is a prime example of these machines. You could never get a human being to do that. It's physically impossible. And that's the cool thing with machines, you know, and you can see where Jamie was coming from with his presentation, that machines will take over everything. But machines require programming, machines require understanding. And in dental technology, I'd like to think we're actually slightly different in the digital world, because we don't manufacture the same thing every day. In fact, we never manufacture the same thing every day unless it's fractured or failed. So, you know, both of those bridges there, the one on the left is made by an IT student, employed by a lab as a cheap piece of labor. And because he could do IT, the particular person running the lab thought he would be a great solution for a dental technician. The one on the right is manufactured by one of my team. But the key thing here is that both of those bridges are manufactured on the same software, and they're manufactured on the same milling machine. So again, technology is just solely a tool. So don't be disillusioned on that front. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about planning and diagnostics. That wax up there, you can see there, that was the last wax up I did in my lab, which is probably about 5 years ago now. And now I do nothing but digital wax ups. I don't believe in using wax for diagnostics. I think it's an outdated material, and if you want a wax up in my lab, then I ask my customers to go and find another dentist, another dental laboratory, sorry. Because I like tooth libraries. You know, I mean, we invest quite heavily. This is Jan Hayto's library. You can actually get the book of the real patient's smile. You can also use Fab Smiles, which is Shemik's book, which again is lots of lovely photographs of patients. So for communication tool, we can sit down with the patient and discuss it. If we do this with wax, we're just starting blind and blank. And then we've got to basically work out how we can, you know, what information we're pulling off. And if someone then says to me, look, I want a wax that's a bit more rounder, whatever in wax, it's got to come back to me, I've got to modify it. It's just not cost effective. It's not good for anybody. And this is the kind of thing that we do on a regular basis. So this is a case literally pulled off from last week. And I thought it was really interesting that it's a very simple 4-unit additive wax up for an intraoral scan. There's nothing complicated about it. But what we discovered is that we were asked to do additive. So we've laid the wax on top of the teeth in this process. And we can see sliding back and forth here. This is just putting 4 very simple veneers onto the teeth. But what we realized is that we pushed these teeth too far forward. And this guy was going to look like a bunny rabbit. And my concern is that when we tried this in the mouth, this was going to look terrible. So very quickly and free of charge, we decided to do another wax up. And this is the same job, but waxed up slightly differently. And here you can see that sort of the blue lines just poking through there. Now with digital technology, I can measure that, I can see that, I can show that to the dentist. I can explain where we stand with this wax up. And actually we can sit down with the patient as well. Now, when we sent this out, the dentist came out and just went, wow, that's mind blowing. You know, if I paid for 2 wax ups, no, it took me 5 minutes. So we're offering better value by using this kind of technology. And If I have a great big digital wax up and the dentist says to me, can you move the midline 2 mil? Can you imagine doing that manually with wax? I just try to think about it. And what I love about this technology is that it still incorporates old school methods. So sometimes we need a bite block, and we've just got no teeth on the top there. How do you start with a wax up? So we just start with a bite block. Okay, standard bite block. It's an intraoral scan on the bottom. It's a conventional impression on the upper, and it's a wax bite block. We scan that bite block in. We've got the canine position, the high lip line, the low lip line, and the center line. And then from then I can start my wax up. Now, this is where it comes into its own, that these are vastly quicker for the team. So from my perspective, we can design these wax ups, we can ping them to the dentist approves it, we change it, we tweak it, it's quick, it's fast. We can even email this to the patient. So we're starting to see now that our clients, just between patients, can very quickly look on their phone, yeah, that looks brilliant. Or, you know what, that's just not what the patient's gonna, let me send that to the patient, email it to the patient goes back to the dentist, back to me. Within 15, 20 minutes, I'm redesigning the wax up and the patient hasn't even come into the surgery. We're in this post-COVID time where, time is a massive shortage in dental practices. So if we can use this technology to reduce this sort of virtual chair, this chairside time into virtual time, that's good for everybody across the business. Sorry, excuse me. And then we print the wax up. Now, I like printed wax ups for multiple reasons. One, I can polish them. I can put some additional surface texture on. I can do whatever I want. But actually, if the patient wants to take this home and show their family, they can. Because at the moment, we're expecting a patient off a diagnostic wax up, just to choose the smile, which is going to be the rest of their next 10, 15, 20 years of their life in a matter of 10 minutes. If we can send this home, there's less chance of remakes, less chance of adjustments. And all of these factors really, really help us to improve what we do and reduce the risk and the complications of what we do as a dental laboratory. And then we just make silicone indices. This is one I made a few months ago. I put it in here. I love it because it's got a few bubbles in it. One of the best advice that someone gave me is you can actually put this in the pressure pot and it eliminates all the bubbles. Just a nice extra clear material. But the nice thing is that all of our diagnostic wax ups go out with a silicone index, okay? And we pop that in the mouth so you can try that wax up in. So again, now suddenly the patient can see that wax up rather than being on a little articulator on the end of the dentist bench. They can take their models home. If some of our dentists even put this in as like semi sort of permanent, might leave it in for 24 hours, get the patient back the next day, and then we can see if it's right. And the good thing is, because this is digital, if it does all go well and the patient's very happy, the next stage for me is to make the temporaries. Now, when I first made temporaries many years ago, my boss told me to make them absolutely dire. Don't spend any time on a temporary, make them rubbish or the patient will not come back. That no longer stands. Patients' expectations these days are high. They want well-fitting temporaries that look great. And if they break, you're going to need to make another one pretty quick. So we just machine them all. So we machine them out of pucks, dentine at the top, enamel at the bottom. They come out like this, the margins are done, they take me minutes to finish, and then I can spend as long as I want on the finishing. So I've not cut that back, it's just simply painted, and just paint the colors on, polish it, and it goes out the door. Now, if that fractures, it's really simple, I can just machine another one. We have certain high profile patients that we offer that if they want a second temporary as a backup, let's say we're doing maybe 3 to 3, and we don't want to put a metal support in it, and we do it all in acrylic. Now there's a high risk of fracture there. So what we do is that we mill a second one half price. So that's still profitable for me. That's profitable for our dentist, and the fact that they would have charged that to the patient. And the patient has that assurance that if this fractures, which we'll do on a Friday night, just as you're about to go out for dinner, and actually they can get the patient in and replace that straight away. So in certain patients and certain profiles, we might manufacture 2 temporaries just solely to offer this as a better solution for the patient. Dentistry is about, providing this amazing level of care and service. And the good thing is that if that does fracture on a Friday night, I'm not getting my team working late. We just put this through the milling machine. It's really quick to finish and it's done. And, temporaries should look like this now. Okay, that's just 6 anterior temporaries milled in multi-layer PMMA. And we've just polished them and we use a bit of OptiGlaze on top. That's it. Okay, nothing fancy. So one, now my temporaries are profitable, probably it's the first time in my life. Secondly, my customers love them. And thirdly, when patients wear the temporaries, it fills them with confidence. And then they can't wait to get the finals, because the finals are going to be even better. I would say the only negative things of these is they put a heck of a lot of pressure on ceramists, because they look so good. Ceramists have got to copy that, but that's the joy of being a ceramist. Now, in the wonderful world of digital, as we get into the world of sort of intraoral scans and the rest of it, we're also seeing a huge rise in zirconia. Now, those are two fantastic zirconia copings there. What we're seeing now is this translucent zirconia material. So we're seeing the core colors going through here. So if you see here, you've got this warmth of color coming through the zirconia coping. Now, it was a lovely early days into oral scan. Came in, 2 A2 crowns, went out, were fitted. Dentist said to me, one's A2, one's C2. So I don't think so. They're exactly the same color. No, one's A2, one's C2. And then actually this person upgraded to the new intraoral scanner. We took a new impression, the rest of it. And what do we find underneath? We find our lovely friend, the post and core. And of course this happened. It's not kind of anyone's fault. You know, it was the dentist didn't tell us. I'm not here to blame anybody. But what I love about the modern intraoral scanner now is their color. So all of this information, the stump color, the darkness around the neck, all of that information is coming to us, which is helping me to reduce my remake rate. It's helping me to treatment plan, and it's eliminating those errors and mistakes that we get as dental laboratories, which unfortunately are part and part of what we do. You know, intraoral scan came in literally, I think Tuesday. You know, please make a zirconia bridge. And we can see straight away here, we've got 3 black, you know, titanium abutments. They want zirconia. It's not really the right material anyway, to be honest. But if that had been a conventional impression, I might have presumed those were zirconia abutments, you know, and then we've just made them, and then suddenly we've got a grey bridge. It's a nightmare. Okay, so I'm loving this color coming through the intraoral scan, because it's really starting to empower us as dental technicians. You know, and all of my posterior work now is full contour. Okay, it's very rare that I layer a posterior crown now unless it's bonded. So if it's zirconia in my lab, you're going to basically get full contour. I don't charge less for full contour. I don't see why we should. You know, we've got expensive milling machines. Zirconia is expensive material, and actually to really carefully stain and glaze a full contour zirconia crown takes years of skill. You can't just give this to a basic technician. So I don't believe this should be devalued. I think they should be exactly the same, because if I was having a crown in the back of my mouth now, I would probably want a full contour zirconia. And I would want a quality zirconia, and I'd want it to be, you know, beautifully stained and glazed. And the quality of the materials we're starting to see now are so good, we're starting to use them for anterior work. Now, the only way you can get a bridge looking like that is through skill. Okay, it's through talent, it's through time, it's through being a dental technician. The morphology, the anatomy. Yes, we pulled that off a library, but we still have to know how to position it and where to put it. How do we put the stains and the colors on top? So whilst that is monolithic, one piece zirconia, all of that is stained and glazed by a high-level technician. And that's really important that we don't lose those skills. Now, this is predominantly a Lantus lecture, okay? And it's really important that I've showed you some of those early stages, because by the time we get to this stage, we want reliability. And that planning and that diagnosis has given us all of these tools to actually make this process really easy. Now, I'm doing this for Dentsply Sirona because Dentsply Sirona is one of my biggest bills every single month. And the bigger my Dentsply Sirona bill is, generally the happier I am, because that means the lab's really, really busy. And you know, I love the reliability of Atlantis. I don't think there's anyone that does the core files better than Atlantis. So these few slides that are going through, I think, you know, I want you to understand that it's not because I'm lecturing for Dentsply Sirona. This is a key part of my lab. And, you know, here's an implant crown made by us. Okay, and we can debate whether this is a good result or a bad result. I think it's an outstanding result, providing we know what we're talking about. Because the problem here is that we have 2 crowns here. We have a stock abutment, okay, and we have a CAD abutment. And this is where I still don't understand that, chatting to, you know, Dentsply and chatting to Straumann and all the other big implant companies, that the sale of gold components and the sale of stock components is still remarkably high. Now, you can't have a stock abutment in my lab. Okay, that's it. That's the rules. You get a CAD abutment or nothing. And if you want a stock abutment, then again, I'm going to send you that to that lab down the road that does the diagnostic wax ups. Because you can see the results here that we've got that incredible emergence profile. We've used a zirconia abutment. I mean, that to me just looks like a real crown compared to the stock abutment that the tissue used to be a good 1 to 2 millimeters further down, but it's been pushed forward. It's not quite right. And actually the cost of that particular abutment, by the time the lab had charged their trimming fee, it was about £20 cheaper. That to me, and the value of what implant work is, I just don't see how that's a benefit to anybody. Now, I'm not going to cover too much of the Atlantis workflow. Sorry, excuse me. Mainly because Jamie's going to cover that in shortly. But I love the fact that when we're using the Atlantis workflow, that it is allowing me to reduce my failures and my problems. Because do you know how much you have to take off a stock abutment for it to be a guarantee, to be a failure of the guarantee? The answer is literally nothing. As soon as you touch that with a burr, you're voiding your warranty. With Atlantis, you're able to customize that abutment, get that emergence profile that you want. The abutment's been designed. I'm not wasting time using the CAD software. I've pinged it over to them. They send me back a template. And if I want to, then I can use the 3D editor just to hone that in. Now, we have just probably about 50 to 70% of our abutments, but most of our abutments take us on average probably about 10 minutes. So it's a really good sort of time-saving part of the lab, as well as being quite a sort of a profitable part of the lab. And then we just get back a beautiful abutment. You can see here I've had to shift the midline of the abutment over. We've got a lovely emergence profile, the contour of the patient's mouth. The taper is set for the perfect optimization of the crown that's going to go on top. That means temporary cement can be used. That's going to save the surgeon time. Software calculates the strength. And if you'll still do a lot of cement retained work, you get the most fabulous 3D printed jig back from Atlantis. Okay, and those jigs, we still check them, we still charge them, and we still add a percentage to them. And I don't see why in the world of subcontracting, if a dentist is going to use your lab, they're not just using you for what you supply, they're using you for your knowledge. They're using you for what you do and what you've learned. And through the delving of the CAD/CAM companies, Atlantis is one of my biggest suppliers. And that's where I add a percentage to all of my stuff, because I feel that's the way I need to run my business to be profitable. We've got great cementable options, zirconia, titanium, we've got titanium with gold hue. And of course, you can utterly bespoke that to every particular patient. Now, I'm not going to dwell on Atlantis too much. The basic Atlantis cementable abutment, I'd be very surprised if not everyone in this room has used this today. Where I'm more interested in, for example, is things like the custom tie base. Now, that is one of the biggest growth areas in my lab. I think it's a fascinating, great product. The tie base has brought the cost of sort of implant crowns down, and particularly the fact that we can put our own zirconia on top. Now, you can use Atlantis zirconia, but I have my own milling machines. I have my own, zirconia. I want to have that control over the top of the aesthetics. And, really simple workflow for us now. We can see we scan the model here. That's the Atlantis flow on top. You can see how much that sticks out. We then do a very quick diagnostic wax up. This diagnostic wax up was already done for the planning stage. So we just re-import that back in again. And then I put the two together and I upload them to Atlantis. I don't send any of my models to Atlantis, okay, for the abutments. They're all in this particular process. It's a really quick, simple upload. It takes me less than about, say, 10 minutes, it takes about 7 or 8 minutes. It's uploaded and off it's gone. And again, that to design an abutment, to scan it, put it through the process, design it on the software, check it, all the rest of it, it's time consuming. If I can let Atlantis do it for me, and then I charge my percentage, my profit margin that I want to earn on top, that's a much better workflow for everybody. I think also, this is a sort of slightly off topic area, but I think what's really good about Dentist by Sirona is that they've looked at the whole workflow. And one of the most popular phone calls that I've had post-COVID is that I want to get involved in digital, but I'm petrified of the costs. And I understand that. I have incredibly expensive printers, milling machines. I have, all of this CAD software, and it is a huge amount of money. Now, the clever thing with Atlantis at the moment now is that you don't actually need any investments. You can speak to, Jamie, whoever your Dentist by Sirona rep is, and simply from a box purpose, you can put the box in with your diagnostic wax up and ping it off. You get back your print, your model, the rest of it. if you've got an intraoral workflow, you can work around that with the rest of it. So the nice thing is that if you want to get involved in digital, Atlantis is one of the most cost-effective ways to do that. Start by buying some basic software, and then off you go. You don't need printers, you don't need milling machines. All of this is provided. And that's what I love about the whole Atlantis workflow. So you can actually upload this. You can order Atlantis printed model, both arches, active arch, and you will get your models back at the same time. Okay, that's a great customer service approach. I don't use that. I'm ahead of that. I've got my own printers. But when you're starting and moving forward with that, it's great they offer that service. Now, for those that do have our own software and our own milling machines and whatever else, I then ping back my my call file, and I'm working. I haven't even got my abutment back yet. In fact, often I don't even have my model, and I have my own printers here. So this process now is getting so slick. We actually take our files, we upload them, and by the time we've got our call file back, I might not have printed my own model, or I might not have even have done that. And then we can choose our any material, composite, glass ceramic, zirconia, and then we start the process of moving forward. And that's your call file. You can see how much that angulations come back. So now I've got an angle corrected abutment. I've got a tube that tells you where to put the hole. And I just have to make my crown on top, my original diagnostic wax up that I had from the early stages. So suddenly now I've got my model, I've got my abutment, I've got my crown, and the total working time for me probably is around 20 to 25 minutes. Now what that does for me is that really releases my team to now focus on the aesthetics. There's my cutback design there. And this is where sort of digital starts to come into its own now, because it gives us incredible control over all the aspects of what we do, but releasing the time. If we're going to see this huge plummet in dropping technicians, we have to find alternative solutions. So if we can't find metal workers, or if we do have a metal worker, in my lab, my main plaster technician is now retrained to run my printers and my milling machines. My metal workers are now ceramists, or doing the temporaries and that kind of stuff. So we don't have a metal worker at Byrne's Dental Laboratory. The nearest we get to a metal worker is me. And I haven't cast anything now for 4 or 5 years, whatever. I don't have a casting machine. I can't even cast if I want to. And the nearest I get to doing any metal work is that I digitally get crowns made from a local supplier that will cast my gold crowns for me, and I'll polish those crowns in. But what we've done is we've utilized all this technology to actually retrain those people, to give them a good future, to future-proof them, but also it's allowing me to become more profitable as a business, and it allowed me to invest in the young and encourage that. I mean, when I was an apprentice and I came into the first dental laboratory, I was made to do the worst possible tasks ever. We generally chuck people in the plaster room and the rest of it. If we want the young to get involved in our industry, we're not going to get them involved if we put them in the plaster room. So we're looking for gamers. That's what we look for. The amount of parents that come to me and say, "Oh, my son, he's on the PlayStation all the time. He's got no future. He's got no hope." Actually, if you send him to me, I can actually probably develop him into an amazing CAD technician. And they pick up CAD like that. So we get them learning the CAD, then we send them off to college. And actually, I have in the last, I think, 4 or 5 apprentices. I think I've got about an 85%. Out of 5 apprentices, 4 are still with me. And I think that's a really testament to how we offer this training in our lab now. Now, one of the things I love that Atlantis has developed so well is that this is an intraoral scan with an ELOS scan body. Okay, it's not Dentsply Sirona's own Atlantis flow. This is effectively a competitor scan body. But actually, what I can do is that from that intraoral scan and the diagnostic wax that I did for the pre-planning, I can upload those both to Dentsply Sirona immediately. I haven't got to scan anything. So bang, that goes off to Atlantis. That's my direct intraoral scan. So I've downloaded it from whatever platform. It doesn't have to be from PrimeScan. It can come straight from any platform, and off we upload it up to Atlantis. Okay, really fast, really lean. And lean manufacturing is something the dental laboratories should be looking at. We need this slick, fast, timeless process to be able to become these modern high-tech manufacturing facilities that we are becoming now. Because that's how I used to do my full arches. That's what I was trained to do. Full contour, waxed up, Duralay, section it, silicone indices, cut it back, use a probe, 1.2, 1.4, 1.5, 1.3. I then section it, I'd leave it overnight, we then sprue it. There's mortgage worth, probably 2 mortgage worths of gold there. We'd cast these 100-gram frameworks, and then they still wouldn't fit. Section them, rejoin them, laser weld them, and that's 2 whole days. And now what I do is I put in a cardboard box. I've got my my Atlantis. I've done my denture setup here. We've popped this off to Atlantis, and I let Atlantis metal workers design this for me. I know they know what they're doing. So here's my denture. Okay, I've got the aesthetic try-in done. I've put this on the model, and for this particular version, I've sent off to Atlantis. We could upload these scans, but in this particular case, when I've got large full arches, I like the contact scanning, I like the level of accuracy. But again, Atlantis is giving me the choice and the decisions that I want to do. So here I've got my framework, and one of the questions I get asked on this quite a lot is, well, what about the porcelain support? How do you know it's good? How do you take a silicone index virtually? Well, actually, you do. So if you look at this slide here, you've got this black slice going through. If we look on the left-hand side here, the pink is the denture, and the black bit is actually the metalwork. And as we slide this through, I can check my porcelain support. Now that is way more accurate than a silicone index. Okay, I haven't used any materials. This is all virtually there. I just very quickly whiz it through the whole framework and check I'm happy. If I'm not, I get Atlantis to make the adjustments. But these frameworks that used to take me 2 days now take me 20 minutes. And that then comes back into these stunning, beautifully accurate, highly precision milled pieces of metalwork. Because implant work is precision engineering. It's key. And when we've got these kind of stunning frameworks, I want to ensure they're passive. And passive isn't one of those kind of things, it's nearly passive. It's either passive or it's not. And I think when we cast these frameworks, I don't think we can ensure passivity. You know, I'd love to say that I spent 10 years perfecting the art of casting implant work, and yet realistically, I still to this day, I can't guarantee that's going to be passive. And whilst that's taken me 20 minutes, again, this isn't reducing my fee or my time, it's allowing me to leave at 5:30 and actually spend a lot more time on the aesthetics. So again, the dentist and the patient is getting a vastly better product produced in less time. And actually, that's what technicians want to be doing. They want to be doing this beauty, you know, grinding in and cutting screws and cutting discs and, you know, divesting. I don't think anyone wants to do that. I mean, imagine trying to cast a framework like that. And then I just wrap it in ceramics. But I can spend twice as long doing these ceramics now and they're still profitable. Okay, and that's key. So we've really pushed our standard up, okay, and reduced our working hours. And that's one of the most important things. Casting frameworks like that, just a nightmare. All metal occlusion. I mean, I couldn't even think of doing something like with a casting machine now. And then you've got to make that perfectly passive. No porosity, no nothing. The only way you're ever going to do that is to have that machined and milled. Now, changing tactics slightly. If we do these big full arches and we've got these, you know, big diagnostic wax cells, we still have to verify these casts. Now, be them intraoral scanning or be these from, you know, conventional impression, they still have to be verified. So now what we do is we take our diagnostic wax up and we fuse that into a very quick temporary bridge. Okay, and then we 3D print them. We make them big, we're bulky, we use quite a brittle material. So if these are, you know, being pulled or twisted, they tend to crack. And I want them to crack, I want these to be brittle. So we put temporary cylinders in them or impression coatings, whatever you need to do. And then we've got 2 double advantages here. So firstly, we're accurately verifying the cast. And the next thing we're doing also is we're doing an aesthetic try-in. Have we got the bite right? Have we got the midline right? It's much easier to do this even crudely than it is using a bite block. So we put this in, the patient can smile and see, and we've got midline over here or midline here, or it's a cant. It's much more visual when we're using this kind of technique. So I charge £100 each for these verification jigs from the diagnostic wax up compared to our conventional ones, which I think are between 25 to 50. So they are a lot more money, but they're saving a whole hour of surgery time, and that's why we utilize it. So it's profitable for us, it's saving the time of the dentist, and it's helping everyone out across the board. Now I'm sure most of you know what angle correction is. That's a Dents by Sirona angle correction driver. But one of the things it's helping us to do is actually sometimes to think a bit outside the weird and wonderful. We couldn't get an implant in the early stages of planning in this. So what we managed to do here is we've utilized the angle screw access to actually push it forwards and fill that with composite. Okay, that's allowing me to really help develop, you know, and help our customers' treatment plan. I do everything digital now. I mean, when we've finished all these wonderful bridges, we're seeing, especially post-COVID, we're seeing a big rise in tooth grinding. Now, whether that's because everyone's stuck at home with their kids and they're screaming and about to kill them or what, I don't know. But, making occlusal splints is expensive and costly. So we've just fully digitized the whole process now. And the good thing is it's reducing the cost of these, but also that, when these get broken or the patient wants a second one or the dog's eaten it or they want one for their holiday home, we can very quickly and easily print one. Okay, it's profitable, it's easy, it guarantees a bit of longevity to the patient. And it means that when the patient does break them, it's not a nightmare for the dentist to have to go through the whole process again. So again, if we can digitize these, it's this reproducibility that's so exciting. Now, moving a little bit away from Atlantis, really, I think one of the cool things I wanted to show you really was about dentures. Now, I'm very lucky that I'm one of the few people in Europe that's got access to Dentsply Sirona's new Lucitone, which is printable on the carbon printer, and it is mind-blowing. I have never worked with a material as good as this. And we can do our basic denture setup. These are all the Lucitone colors that you can use. And this material is just mind-blowing. I've been doing digital dentures now for probably the best part of about 2 years now. And one of the big problems that I faced is fractures. Now, this material is as rigid as a denture. If I squeeze it now, I could barely squeeze it in the slightest. So watch when you put this under 2 tons of loading. That's a PMMA denture. Now, I've never seen a denture material behave like that. This is not a flexible material. This feels like a normal denture. And I think this is where we're going to see some really cool revolutions in this area. And this is what Dentsply Sirona are doing so well in the background in this digital workflow, is allowing us cool materials like this to play with. So now we're scanning dentures randomly. This is a particular patient that's got Alzheimer's. She keeps throwing away her denture. So we scan them now, and if the patient loses that denture, it doesn't matter. I can use the software to split the pink and the white, and then we can print them a denture. When we're doing our dentures now, we do our trying at the top, and again, when we're doing the conventional denture now, I send the patient home with the denture. They can do their trying for the whole weekend, and then when they like it, we then produce the denture on the bottom, and the bottom has printed teeth and the printed Lucitone base, or Lucitone white, Lucitone pink. That's a printed denture, and it's looking pretty good. You can see these 2 dentures, just an amazing difference here.
Lucitone printed dentures.
So we've got some plastic teeth on the left here. Okay, and
stock sort of beta teeth. Actually, this one is 100% printed. This is using Shemix Fab Smart. So we've still got a bit of work on the pink, I must admit.
And that's more the pink from the software perspective, rather than actually the material.
Being unbreakable.
And as we're moving forward to this is when it brings it back to Atlantis in the last few slides here. You can see here that, that we're seeing a big area of the growth of sort of the elderly and how we treat these people. And it's really, really important that we treat these correctly and accurately. So 2 implants, very cost effective. We've got an Atlantis subframe in there. We make a denture on top. And this is what I love about this particular system. So these are the Hader bars. This is the Preci-Horrocks system. If you listen to this, that kind of milling technology in CAD, if that framework wears out in 10 years' time, just order another framework. When those gold bars used to wear out, it was just a nightmare. So we even had a patient that had one of these bars and they had a car crash. Now, amazingly, the denture was forced into the back of the mouth and they spat it out. But in the process, they broke the bar. So Atlantis very kindly milled another one, and we put it in the mouth, and we fingers crossed, and we put the denture on, and bang, snap straight on. And that's really where digital technology is starting to come into its own. And as we move forward with these patients in the sort of last little bit, we have to also think about limited dexterity and care assisted. These retainers that we're producing are great, but they're quite tight. And how do we treat these patients when they start to have things like strokes and anxiety? When they have like strokes and we have limited dexterity, because all of these patients we're restoring now ultimately will lose a lot of their own, functions. So we've switched out this Hader bar into one of the Atlantis 2-in-1s. I'm a massive fan of these. We've got a lovely primary sleeve here. We have a secondary sleeve on top, and we're just kind of working on the technology now. I can potentially make a Lucitone denture over the top of that, and that's looking pretty cool. Whole digital workflow. There's your bar and your sleeve. There's your secondary frame on top. And there's your denture. And if you're worried about those metal sleeves wearing out, in certain cases now, we can add locators or we can add attachments, and then we just leave them empty. So if those sleeves do wear out towards the end of this Persian's sort of life of these bridges, we can just pop some little attachments in there, and then we've given their retentive back. And this is why we do digital in our lab. You know, this particular guy was offered 2 conventional gold cast beams through a dentist, and he was quoted £50,000 for an upper and lower screw retained implant bridges. And that's just unacceptable. You know, he just couldn't afford it. Now, this guy hasn't eaten a denture since he hasn't eaten an apple since he was 17 years old. So by using Atlantis technology here, we've got a lower Hader bar, an upper Hader bar. We had a lab fee of about £2,500. We had a surgeon fee of about 10,000, so it was something like about 12,000 in total. Still not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than 50,000. And this is our chap.
Bingo.
And that was directly after fitting.
No problem.
So this is where CAD/CAM comes into its own, because it's allowing you to offer these fantastic cost-effective solutions. Okay, and this is why we use things like Atlantis. I haven't waxed and cast that, put it in a cardboard box, and I sent it to Atlantis. It comes back, it's done, it's finished, and off we go. So in summary, we're seeing time efficiency in all areas, okay? And it's allowing my team to reduce their working hours and really focus on good health, well-being, good sort of mental states, and actually focusing on the work they enjoy, the quality of the work they enjoy. It's definitely helping me improve my communication. I can ping this work back and forth to my dentists. We're seeing a dramatic reduction in reduced failures. And of course, if we do have a failure, as dentistry is always going to happen that way, everything is 100% reproducible. And I love the fact that if we do get that fracture, it's so easy just to hit that button and we get something else back. It's creating better working conditions for my employees across the board, and the team is more harmonious across the board. It's predictable and profitable, yet it's also the most cost-effective dentistry for everybody. It's allowing everyone to work less hours and actually live a better life through dentistry. So, just 2 minutes over, I'm sorry about that. I want to say thank you very much for listening. Okay, I've done my best to squeeze as much as I could into 40 minutes, and that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. And I just want to say that I do have something at the end, which I was allowed to sneak in at the last minute, which will come at the very end of this webinar. I want to allow Jamie and the guys just to show you something. But I've been working on this awesomely cool project with Atlantis, and I think I've got something pretty cool right to show you at the end. So thank you for listening to me. I shall be back shortly. It's over to you, Jamie.
Thank you very much, Ash. Really, really insightful. And I think we forget sometimes what an impact we have on people's lives. You know, you see the results of that guy just eating that apple there. So it's incredible to see, you know, that sort of delight on his face. So yeah, that's a really, you know, interesting insight into your lab, how you work, and thanks for sharing your journey. So moving on, we'll now look at what criteria to consider before investing into any technology. So how to pick the right digital solution for your laboratory. You're probably thinking, how can I make digital technology profitable? And how can going digital future-proof my laboratory business? And what I should consider before choosing the right digital solution for my business? And I hope to answer all those questions in the next few slides. So connectivity. Having efficient connectivity between your business partners, and your manufacturers is paramount. Within this digital era, your business will need to remain up to date, connected, and open to the rest of the market. And as we explored on the previous slides, with clinicians intending to invest into intraoral scanners and the demand for dental service expected to rise, you require an open system that gives you the versatility to work with your clinician and with your current CAD setup. And when we discuss connectivity, we also have to think of security as well. And the right digital solution for your laboratory should also offer you a secure, validated, and cloud-based data transfer between you and your business partners. Exchanging patient data needs to be secure, and your solution provider should offer this as standard at no extra cost. And it goes without saying, your solution should be flexible. The increased demand and a decrease in qualified technicians could put a huge strain on your resources. which is why you may want to consider outsourcing some of your restorative work to specialised partners. And think of these providers as your partners. And the beauty of adopting the outsourced business model is that you can scale up or down depending on your workload. And this gives you control over your expenditure of digital solutions. So outsource the most time-consuming tasks and take control of expenditures by redirecting your existing resources and skilled staff to activities which can create the most income for your laboratory. And choose an intuitive digital solutions provider that delivers a shorter learning curve and gives you instant access to specialized partners. And consider digital outsourced solutions as a fundamental way to achieve flexibility and efficiency in your laboratory. And this will significantly drive your profitability. Quality is essential. So whether you're using digital software, equipment, or outsourcing to a specialized partner, the tools you use should enable you to provide high quality outcomes. After all, you don't want to be missing out on new revenue by redoing your old work as remakes. And so by outsourcing, you can focus on your core business. And this will give you the gift of time to analyze your business and understand what might be worth outsourcing or digitizing to achieve high quality work. And this will naturally help to eliminate remakes. And high quality digital providers are the gateway to providing you with cutting edge solutions, products and services for your laboratory to become a laboratory of choice and have a competitive offering, whatever the size of your dental laboratory. So the message is take advantage of those innovations. And in this digital world, whatever we invest into, our time is precious. We want easy to use solutions. In a consumer world where we have instant access to unlimited resources and innovative solutions, the user experience of dental laboratory software should be just as intuitive as using your smartphone. And the digital tools and software should be easy to use and provide flexibility in the way that you use. If you want to edit, change or cancel, it should be available as standard. And of course, the digital solutions you choose should be profitable for your business. The investments you make should aim towards maximizing efficiency without compromising quality. And all of your tangible and intangible investments should deliver just that. You want to prevent remakes to stop you from missing out on opportunities to generate new revenue for your business. So how can you make digital profitable? And on that note, I'd like to share with you a truly interesting local report which highlights where you could become more profitable. We conducted a desktop review of different laboratory workflows to establish earnings for a single unit implant restorations delivered with different methodologies. In this review, we focused on comparing different laboratory workflows to deliver a titanium abutment with a full contour crown. And we focused on the time spent to deliver the restoration versus the profit achieved at the end. And whilst these numbers may vary, and they will, from one lab to another, our goal was to demonstrate the striking difference in profitability of different laboratory workflows when working to deliver the same end products. So please bear that in mind when looking at the results on the next slide. Our data findings are supported by Steve Campbell and Ashley Byrne and are shown as a close representation of the usual time versus earnings of a titanium abutment with full contour crown associated with each workflow. So I'll now take you briefly through what we found. So the top chart shows how much time in minutes is typically spent with different workflows to deliver a titanium abutment with a full contour crown. And the bottom chart shows how much on average laboratory would earn per restoration. And the profit there is shown in euros. Please note this is not the cost of the restoration, but the profit after the cost of materials has been considered. And from the results, you can see that the outsourced high quality manufacturing services is the most profitable and efficient in our review. And do these results surprise you from listening to what we've heard from Ashley as well? And this is not a scientific study, but rather an average cost versus time comparison review. And we encourage you to do your own analysis in your business and see if this also represents the same. And if you'd like to find out more about this review, then just please contact us after the event and our digital laboratory team will be happy to take you through the details. And hopefully there'll be no issues on your digital journey. But if it does come to that, you want to know that your provider you choose is able to support you, no matter how big or small the challenge. Support is absolutely crucial to your business. No support essentially equals loss of time. You can't afford to lose time. The provider of your chosen digital solution should have years of experience in the dental industry and should strive to provide the most innovative and helpful solutions possible. And as a part of this service, you should expect to have large access to a community of users with whom to exchange knowledge and advice with. Sometimes we have to stand on the shoulder of giants to see further, because we can be guilty of having tunnel vision from time to time. But hopefully that's given you a clear insight into what to consider when choosing the right digital solutions for your dental laboratory. Now, what I'd like to do is take you through a short demonstration of Dentsply Sirona solutions, which gives you a great example of effective communication between a dental practice and laboratory partner. And tonight joining me is my colleague, Jack Hannam, who will show us an intraoral scan with a prime scan. And Jack will be scanning an implant restoration proposal for an Atlantis screw retained solution. And then I will then demonstrate how a laboratory would receive the digital impression from the prime scan and how it can be processed in conjunction with Atlantis in my CAD software of choice. For example, I'm using InLab software for this example. So Jack, if you'd like to take control from here.
Thank you very much, Jamie, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Jamie and Ashley, for allowing me to jump on for a quick 5 minutes just to show you, hopefully to give you a bit more of an insight in terms of what dentists are seeing on their side, and what the prime scan can offer to both a clinician and a technician from a workflow point of view. So as Jamie mentioned, I'll be taking a scan of an implant with an Atlantis abutment. I'll then be sending that over to him. So I'm just about to share my screen. Just take over control from you, Jamie.
Thank you.
And in front of me, I'm sat in front of a prime scan. So this essentially is a cart-based intraoral scanner for use in a dental practice. Now, what the prime scan provides for both a clinician and a technician is extreme levels of accuracy, and it's extremely easy to use for a clinician. So how does that benefit a technician? It benefits a technician because it means that it's more likely that you get a great scan or a great impression. Because I know I mainly deal with sort of the chair side of things with Dentsply Sirona, but I do speak to technicians pretty much weekly. And something that they do, you guys tend to mention, is the quality of impressions that you get from some intraoral scanners, and obviously normal impression material can vary between users and different cases. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a scan on the model, just to show you how easy it is for a dentist to do this with a prime scan. So it's got a massive field of view. It's extremely quick. And because it's so fast, it means that a dentist doesn't necessarily have to focus too much in one specific area. And because it's so quick, it's just able to instantly pick up images essentially as it hovers over that area. So you can see here I've got a visual indication on screen where I've captured information, where I haven't. So I can see that easily. And I can just take the camera into these what we call holes, and we can see how quickly that will fill in. One of the unique things with the prime scan, what makes it especially nice when we're working with this type of case, is that because of the insane depth of scan with it, it's pretty much able to scan almost the entire way into an implant, which you can see on screen there. So there is my initial lower jaw scan. I'm now going to switch to the upper jaw. Again, when we're talking about ease of use, I imagine those of you working with digital impressions at the moment are quite used to seeing some soft tissue in some scans. I imagine there are some which sort of handle that a little bit better. But just to show you, just to make you aware in terms of how the prime scan makes this really easy for you to get a good quality scan, is it's actually able to automatically cut out soft tissue. So you can see my thumb there. We could just pretend that was a tongue as an example, or maybe a cheek, any bit of soft tissue. As soon as it detects that, it will automatically cut that out of the scan. So it makes it much more likely that the scan you get is as good as it could possibly be from an intraoral scan. So I'll just finish up that upper jaw there. We can easily take a buccal bite scan. Now, as I do this, you'll see how quick it picks up. But just to sort of mention on a software point of view, the software that I'm taking this scan in is called the Connect software. So it's quite a self-explanatory name, but essentially the benefit of this is that it connects seamlessly to the lab. The benefit of that is all of the files that, that a dentist takes can be sent through this application directly to your inbox at the lab. And what's nice about that is it really cuts down on the different forms of communication that you've got going between the lab and a practice, because you're not having to email about cases, you're not having to chase people up on WhatsApp, phone call, text message. Everything is contained nicely in this piece of software. Any intraoral pictures and videos that they take inside the software are all included in the file as well. So they can send all of that contained together, and you can also communicate using the chat function in the application as well. So it ties everything together really nicely for both parties. Now what I've done here is I've popped, you'll see this on screen now, is I've popped an Atlantis intraoral flow in there, and you can see how it literally takes just a second for that to correctly orient that with the existing scan. So I'm just going to get a bit more information around this scan post. Once I've got that, you can see it picks it really quickly. I'm just going to process forwards. So the software is now essentially filtering through the images, processing all of our textures, shade information. So the prime scan actually takes a shade, and this information will actually be saved in the scan that gets sent to you as well. So we can see all of that just as part of the software on both sides. There's our final impression. You can see I've scanned right the way into that implant there because of the unique way that the camera works. But just to give you an idea of the impression quality, hopefully you can see that quite clearly on screen. And just to show you what we've picked up on this Atlantis intraoral flow, just the level of detail on that there. So once I'm happy with that, I can click forwards. I then log into my Connect account. What starts happening now in the background is this starts uploading to the cloud, so that when the dentist is ready to hit send, you can see along the bottom there, this is going to take about 30 seconds. So that gives me time to just enter in some details. I'm going to send this over to Jamie's lab. I'm going to select a return date. So let's be nice and give a couple of weeks. We can select time, we can select any notes. So everything obviously is sent digitally. So we could indicate what we would like this made from. You can see that's uploaded at the bottom. Click add to cart. Now, because this is already uploaded to the cloud, it's just waiting for me to click submit, and then it'll instantly appear in your inbox. So even while the patient's still there, you can communicate with the dental practice, check that you're happy with the scan, if they specifically require, if they wanted that particular service, before they let them go, just to check you're happy with that scan. And I'll just click submit and commission, and this will now get sent over to Jamie. Just like that.
Thank you very much, Jack, and thanks for the 2-week time frame.
No problem.
Much appreciated. So, as Jack mentioned, it's called the Connect software because it connects directly to me. And what I have on my side is the Connect Case Enter inbox, which links directly. Now, this piece of software I receive free of charge from my clinician, Jack, upon his purchase of a prime scan. We offer the Connect Case Enter inbox, which then can be delivered to your laboratory of choice or your preferred partner. So it's a really nice way when we can communicate efficiently and effectively and save a lot of time, because the patient can still be in the chair and I can analyze the scan data right here. Okay, and what's also really cool about this software is that it simultaneously downloads in numerous file formats. So as you can see here, in the drop down box, I've got in-lab software, STL, Dental Project for Exocad as well. So it gives you versatility and flexibility in the way that you work. So I can see the details that have been given here from Jack. So Jack, for example, in this scenario, wants a screw retain crown. And as I mentioned earlier, I can analyze the scan for myself in the form of a 3D preview. So I can simply just take the upper arch off and on if I desire, and I can analyze the scan flow just to make sure I'm happy. And in terms of communication, I can chat with Jack directly. So I can use this chat function here and look at this scan flow for the future for reference. I may want to say to Jack, if you can phase the scan flow bookily so we can get as clear as alignment as possible, that'd be fantastic. But overall, I'm really happy with the intraoral scan, and I can just simply accept the file there. And once this file is accepted, I can then choose to send it to Atlantis. So similar way to Ashley mentioned earlier, I can use my Atlantis scan uploader in this scenario. I can ping it straight to Atlantis web order. So this is Atlantis web order that you're seeing in front of you. So we've prescribed in this scenario a custom-based solution, which is a two-piece screw retained solution, which again Ashley mentioned earlier. And the stage we're at now, we're at the hold for design approval stage. So at this stage, Atlantis will send me images of the initial proposal of the abutment. So whatever I've entered into the Atlantis web order, whatever I've prescribed in terms of emergence width, profile, how subgingival I want the margin, this is the initial outcome. And you can see the images on the screen there. But let's say I want to manipulate that abutment further. So let's say the images aren't quite enough for me. I want a bit more freedom in how I'm working. So what I can do, I can launch the 3D editor. So hopefully you've just seen that icon there, launch 3D editor, which brings me to the editor itself. Now, just to show you quickly, I can view and analyze the abutment. I can take the upper arch on and off. I can visualize the crown there, and I can actually see the screw access channel as well. And also what I can do if I wanted to, I can start to measure the distance between the abutment and the upper jaw or the antagonist. But let's say I want to go one step further than that. I actually want to manipulate the abutment myself. So what I can do, I can launch the editor mode. And what this gives me the ability to do is to actually physically edit the abutment myself. If I just remove that virtual crown, and let's say from a technician point of view, I want to just extend that margin slightly buccally. So I can simply grab a point and I can pull the abutment in the direction I want to. And each one of these points, you can click and drag and really start to change the abutment design just to your preferences, really, how you desire. And what you can even do is actually change the screw access channel as well. So if you're not happy with the channel, you can see there, I can just grab that and I can start to maneuver it exactly where I want to. So it's a fantastic feature, and if you're not using this already, it's a definite must because it makes your life a lot easier. You can be assured that you've got the abutment you want, and it gives you complete freedom in the way that you work. Now, let's say I'm happy with this design. I can simply go to the top left here and click OK, I'm happy. So once I'm happy, what I can do is download the Atlantis core file. So the Atlantis core file is essentially 3D data of what you see on screen. And I've got the ability to download this information and import it into my CAD software. So in this scenario, I've downloaded the core file and I've downloaded it into InLab. Now, I'm aware this isn't the same case, but just to give you an idea of how it works. So this would be the data from the Atlantis editor. As you can see there, I've got my abutment. I've even got the position of the screw channel. So I know exactly when I'm designing my restoration, where to input the screw channel. So for this scenario, I've created a full contour crown and I can mill that in any material of my choice. And in terms of the core file, you can download this in various formats. It's not just for InLab. You can download in STL, FreeShape, and Exicad as well. So it gives you complete flexibility and freedom in the way that you work. Now, I'm just going to briefly go back to my presentation so we can continue on from there. So now we're coming to the end of the presentation, but there is one more thing. Yes, you'll be happy to know that there is more content but it's really good and exciting news actually. So coming soon, expected in early 2021, we are currently in a beta testing process to validate the digital impressions taken with the prime scan for Atlantis superstructures. So yes, that's correct. Soon you'll be able to work with digital impressions completed on a prime scan to produce Atlantis superstructures, and I think this is absolutely phenomenal. I'm super excited about this and the opportunities that it opens up because of the power and the precise and the accuracy, the precision of the prime scan itself. We're talking about 30 microns of global accuracy here. You know, I watched a webinar the other day, Mark Ludlow, and he claimed up to 18 microns of full arch accuracy, which is absolutely phenomenal. And this service, to begin with, will be offered on Dentsply Sirona implant connections, but it will become available on others as we move forward. And next, something equally as exciting. This is currently under development, but planned to launch in Q2 2021. So the well-known Atlantis custom-based solution for single unit restorations will be expanded with a new offering to include multiple unit restorations. So what you're seeing on the screen is the work of Dr. Martin Wanaday at 10 Dental and Steve Campbell at Nexus. And their work is based on a digital impression completed with a prime scan. So just exactly what you've seen on the previous slide, that workflow, prime scan, intraoral scan for a superstructure workflow. And this will be called the Atlantis Bridge Base, and it will be offered with a core file. So what this will allow you to do is to order the titanium 3D printed structure. You can then use your core file to design and manufacture your secondary structure in any material of your choice. So using the Atlantis Bridge Base and its workflow will change the lab from analogs to a real digital workflow. And this is fantastic, and I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait for it to be released. And I'm sure once you start using this and this workflow, you'll be too. So we are coming to a close, and let me briefly take you through the final few slides to give you some real insight into Dentsply Sirona. And let's look at your digital journey, Dentsply Sirona. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we are the largest global infrastructure in dentistry, and we are committed to leading education and innovation with proven solutions like you've just seen. We wish to improve efficiency and advance patient care. We are a global company in over 40 locations with 15,000 colleagues worldwide. We are US based, and our equipment is manufactured in Bensheim, Germany. And of course, we have a strong UK team based from Weybridge in Surrey. So what is our vision? Our vision is to deliver innovative dental solutions to improve oral health worldwide. How do we do that? We invest $150 million into innovation each year. And we have over 600 scientists and engineers at our disposal. And what this gives us is the largest R&D platform in the industry. So the future of dentistry is digital. The question is, are you ready? We have the innovations, the investment, and the technology to provide an excellent service to you. And what's great about Dentsply Sirona is that we have a solution for every workflow, for every customer need. And with this being said, let Dentsply Sirona be your partner on your digital journey, so you can provide the best solutions to your customer, so they can consequently give the patients a fantastic experience. And thank you for attending this evening. It does mean a lot. But now we have something exciting. We have a sneak preview from Ashley and the team at one of our exciting new innovations. And then following that, we'll open up for questions. Ashley, if you want to give the guys a preview of what you've been working on with Atlantis. You're just on mute, Ash. Hopefully you can hear me. I think you're still on mute. That's the one, Ash.
I got it now. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. No problem at all. You're teasing them.
Yeah, sorry about that. So just following on from what Jamie said about the sort of the bridge base. So we were very lucky in the fact that we were part of the beta test for this. And I have to say that we've been doing this with a few companies now, and I've yet to see a better result than what's been delivered with Atlantis. So from here, we've taken diagnostic wax up. Okay, you can see that then uploaded into Atlantis. So you have this 100% sort of digital workflow. We've tried this in. This was actually a sort of scan of the temporary, but then lightly modified it. That's our design. And what you can see, if you look at the bottom of the thing of the bridge here, you can see these little notches. And this is designed for floss to really, really nicely go through. And then we receive a call file. And this is imported straight into my ExoCAD. From your diagnostic wax up, your beam, your bar, you're now suddenly producing a full arch, honestly, in a matter of like 20 minutes. The core file has been absolutely mind-blowing. We've played around with milled composite, milled PMMA, and milled zirconia, and the results we're getting are just fantastic. So try and approved, then it's PMMA, composite, or zirconia. You can see, unfortunately, it's not as good as Martin's picture there. That's one of the finished projects. I apologize, I don't have many more pictures than this. But that is just 100% milled, full contour zirconia. We've layered the pink on. You know, fast design and approval, a really highly accurate core file. I mean, I'm quite amazed that we've pulled off these full arch zirconias and they have just slotted onto the bridge like there's no tomorrow. I think for all of our all-on-4, we restore a couple of these a week. I think nearly all of these are going to start heading down this route now. It's a fast and easy design. It's a really accurate core file. You know, you can, before we send out the final try, we actually 3D print what we're going to mill. Now, if we mill that in PMMA, composite, or zirconia, it doesn't matter, but we guarantee we get the try in. It's a really cost-effective and reliable full arch solution. And of course, one of the great things here is it's easily refurbished. So in years to come, if this is PMMA, we can mill it. I mean, if the patient can't afford a full arch, you know, in reference to being, say, the top of the range zirconia, maybe they can have PMMA for 4 or 5 years, and when we come to refurbish them, we can offer them the upgrade. And all I simply do is take that standard original file that I had, and I just change it from a PMMA milling file into a zirconia milling file. It's giving us incredible flexibility across this, and that really tailors the material to the patient budget. And I think that's a really exciting concept. So watch out for this. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I'm telling you now, it's an absolute game changer in the industry. So there we go. That's my one little tiny bit of interest.
Thanks for that, Ash. That's brilliant. You know, I really appreciate that. And then, like you said, I can't wait for this to be, you know, officially launched on our side. And it just shows you from what you throughout your presentation, you're just working smarter. Essentially, you're freeing up your time so you can dedicate it to the more important things in your lab, which, you know, is always incredible to see. So I'm just going to open up the chat now, see if we've got any questions in here. So I'm just going to have a little scroll through.
And I think the first question is there, which is about what would you say is the biggest challenge could be for a lab looking to go digital? I mean, I'm happy to answer that whilst you're looking through there, Jamie.
Please.
My biggest challenge that I faced when we really started to go was fear. There was fear of job loss. There was fear of the technology. I mean, I'll give you a prime example of Tim. Now, Tim is 51, I think. I don't know if he's in the room, but Tim's in his 50s, and Tim was my model technician. Has only ever been a model technician. And I said to Tim, look, there's no future in models. I think for me to ensure his career was going to be, give him longevity, I had to switch what he was doing. And despite the fact that Tim has no computer knowledge, barely knew how to use a computer or email, he now runs all of my digital department in reference to milling and printing, does all of the nesting. So it's really about understanding and getting that information across to the team, and understanding that this won't take away jobs, this will make your job better. You'll be able to reduce your hours and focus on the enjoyment. So fear was the biggest stumbling block. Once we got over that, the freedom and the sort of enjoyment and enthusiasm was just infectious across the board.
Thanks for that, Ash. Is there any more questions, guys? Not too late. Still fire some questions over to us. I'll give you a couple of more minutes or so, just to make sure that everyone's questions are answered this evening. Odette, you're very welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Roy, as well, and Paul.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, guys. Really appreciate it. I know it was a little bit rushed. I've rehearsed it, and I just got a bit slow in the beginning, so my apologies for that.
No, it was great, Actually, seamless. Thank you very much. And I don't think there's any more questions. There's still a bit of time. Thanks all. Thank you, Malcolm. Okay, so we've got one here from Bill. What support do you provide with Atlantis in any training? So, Bill, what we have is a dedicated laboratory team, and from your postcode, you will have a representative who will be able to provide you with all the support in Atlantis and walk you through all the stages that you require, essentially. So we offer full support from Dentsply Sirona, and you will have a dedicated laboratory TSM. If you could just let us know where you're based, then of course we can organise that, not a problem in the slightest.
Atlantis support is really good. I mean, I must be honest with you that, I mean, I get stuck. You know, people sort of think we run this seamless workflow, and we don't. We have challenges, we have problems, we have issues. Jamie's my representative, and when we need him, he's there. And I do feel that the response I get from Dentsply Sirona, particularly from Jamie, is very good across the board. Thank
you, Ashley. That's very kind of you to say. And
you owe me a fiver now.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And just to elaborate that a bit, Bill, so you have your local territory support, territory sales manager support, but you also have the support from Atlantis as well. So there's a volume of support there, and there's a lot of Atlantis users already, you know, in the dental laboratory community as well. So you've got, yeah, like I say, full support from our side. Henna, thank you very much. You're very welcome. Thank you, Nicola as well, and Keith. So yeah, appreciate all the comments, guys. Thank you very much. I know it's been perhaps a long evening for some of you, so I hope you had a nice drink by the side of you to keep you company. And I really appreciate your attendance for this evening. So on that note, I'll say good night to all, and thank you very much for attending.